keep it on the level. Keep it on the level. Keep it on the level. I'm climbing up the...
Hey everyone, I'm Simon Harris and welcome to the 4th episode of my vlog. Now, some of you have noticed that I've been away for a couple of weeks. I've had a few questions on social media, kind of Twitter and LinkedIn about that. I didn't decide to can the vlog, I just decided to go on holiday, and as you can probably guess by the tan, get a bit of winter sun. Went to the Mauritius, it was fantastic, really beautiful place, can warmly recommend it. It's also really nice to be back though, fully recharged and kind of ready for the rest of Q1. We've had a lot of new business wins here over the kind of past few months, so really excited about kind of getting started with that. Speaking of questions, actually, one of the things that I've been really touched about since I've started this vlog is a number of people like reaching out to me, whether that's on Twitter or LinkedIn, and just asking questions about kind of how and why I'm doing this, and also like my point of view on certain things. So in terms of like how I'm doing this, I shoot this on an iPhone. It's nothing really complicated. I shoot it in 4K and then I edit it in iMovie, so really kind of low key. And to be honest, that means that the sound quality and the video quality is maybe not always the best and probably not as good as some of you guys will be used to, but I think it's good enough for now, and maybe as I get better at this and, you know, if this grows, then maybe I'll sort of invest in some kind of custom kit, whether that's like a proper camera or whatever. But for now, I think this is fine. A few people have asked me whether or not the company has given me permission to do this or is paying me to do this. The answer to both those questions is no. But they've kind of been really supportive about it, and that's great because, you know, not every holding company in the world would want one of their people to put their own personal opinion out on technology in the market, and the fact that Dentsu is really supportive of that kind of means a lot to me. It's one of the reasons actually it's a great place to work. Also get asked a lot of tech questions, and they're kind of what I wanted to talk about today. So the three that I've been asked the most about are what my favourite DSP is. I've got some strong opinions there, obviously. What my point of view on auction dynamics is. There's so many changes there at the moment. It's a really interesting space. I'll talk about that a little bit today. And also some people have asked me about my point on verification. Everyone says, like, you talk about it a lot. You know, what's your point of view? Do you think it's becoming commoditized based on what DSPs are doing in the market? So I'll share my thoughts on that today.
Keep it on the level. Keep it on the level. I'm climbing up the...
So, what's my favourite DSP? Fair question, one that I get asked an awful lot. Before I get into it, I want to say a couple of things. I think firstly, like, don't underestimate the power of a trader in this equation, right? And what I mean by that is, I think a bad trader in an excellent DSP, a market-leading DSP, gets beaten by an excellent trader or a good trader in an average DSP all day long. People make such a difference still in this game. People like... salespeople don't talk about that, but that's the honest to God's truth. So it's fair to say that like buying platforms aren't commoditized. There's lots of variants. You've got good features, bad features, good platforms, bad platforms, but people still make a huge amount of difference in this game, and anyone that says otherwise is probably has a sales agenda. In terms of like feature sets, I think, you know, as I said, some have like better verification tools than others. Some have stronger algorithmic capabilities than others do out of the box. Some have customizable algorithms, whether that's through custom decision trees or whether that's through like bid multipliers. Some have access to unique data and unique inventory, like the Amazons and the DoubleClicks of the world, and that's really cool. I think if I was thinking about my favorite DSP though, like my favorite company, maybe like just thinking back to the days where I was still hands-on keyboards, like, and still activating campaigns, like I think the Trade Desk could be up there, you know. I mean, those guys sort of 3-4 years ago, they were absolutely fantastic. They came into like a really crowded marketplace, you know, the Turns and the Media Maths of the world, they were in their ascendancies, they had market dominance, AppNexus as well, and the Trade Desk just came in, and they were a small, scrappy company, like very US-centric to start with, and then they kind of came over here, and they just decided, they were like, right, we're going to be customer-centric, we're going to ask our customers what they want most out of their platform, and we're going to build features to empower them, rather than taking this kind of engineering-led approach, which was like, our engineers are going to build stuff, and our sales guys are going to push it to trading desks. The Trade Desk kind of flipped that paradigm on its head, and they were like, we're going to put the customer first, we're going to ask you guys what you want, and then we're going to build it. And they iterated so quickly, and you know, they ate everyone's lunches. They've you know, they've gone from being a small scrappy upstart in 4 years to kind of having, you know, MSAs, I guess, with like all of the big holding companies out there, and, you know, huge amount of respect for them as a business and for Jeff Green as an entrepreneur for being able to do that. So an incredible success story. Now, do I think they're the best buying platform? I'm not sure. Like, I think everyone's really close at the moment. I think if you had to pick out one player in the market that led the market, that would be DoubleClick. And I think that's because DoubleClick have incredible verification tools. Certainly they're commoditizing, I think, a lot of what third parties kind of have to offer. We'll talk about that in a bit. Their machine learning is insane. Obviously the investment in DeepMind, for example, kind of shows just how serious they're sort of taking machine learning. Google as a business is an AI business first. They've got some incredible tech there. And yeah, I think also like they've got access to unique inventory. Lots of people were sore about the YouTube thing that happened a couple of years back. But you know, if you want to buy TrueView, if you want to buy those bumper ads or, you know, skippables, like DBM's the only platform that you can get that in any meaningful way. But I think, as I mentioned, like the trade desk came in and they disrupted a market, right? And you've got lots of DSPs now, which are very kind of strong in terms of their capabilities, have unique data, have unique inventory, have great algorithmic capabilities, and there's nothing to say that one of those guys, or maybe a new entrant to the market, can't disrupt DoubleClick just in the way that you know, 3 or 4 years ago the trade desk disrupted the kind of turns of the world.
On the level, on the level. I'm climbing up the...
So I get asked about auction dynamics loads, both by clients, by people internally, and that kind of makes a lot of sense. It seems like every other day there's an article in DigiDay or ExchangeWire or AdExchanger that talks about header bidding and first price auctions and soft floors. So it makes a lot of sense. I want to back up before we get into it though and talk about how things used to work. So in digital advertising, most auctions are a Vickery auction, they're a second price auction, and you know, you bid £1.50, I bid £1, you win, but at the price that I bid, or the price I bid plus a penny. And that's obviously, you know, a fair auction model. It's what most digital inventory auctions kind of run on, so the kind of Facebooks and YouTubes and Twitters of the world, Google search engine results page, all of these auction models work on a second price auction. It's the way things have been done. That changed kind of maybe 18 months ago when people started experimenting. When I say people, I mean AdExchangers started experimenting with soft floors and first price auctions. And yeah, I'm going to put it out there, I think they're bad for advertisers, right? So if you kind of go back to the model that we were just talking about, you bid £1.50, I bid £1, you still win, but now instead of paying what I bid, you pay £1.50. So your inventory's increased in terms of its cost by 50%, but is your performance going to increase by 50%? No, of course it's not. It's never going to. And I mean, the most important thing when it comes to running programmatic campaigns effectively is the rate or the cost of which you buy inventory and the rate at which it converts. And if the cost increased massively and the rate at which it converts stays the same, which of course it's going to, it's the same inventory, you're just paying more money for it, then that's worse for your advertisers. And I think it's like worse than that as well. It's a hot mess at the moment, right? You've got some people declaring that it's a first price auction, other people not doing that. You know, you've got lots of uncertainty around, am I in a first price auction? Am I in a second price auction? I'll tell you what, here's a tip, oftentimes you're in both. And that's not great, right? This isn't something that was done in consultation with buying platforms either. It was a decision that was made amongst ad tech vendors and publishers. And the market probably isn't ready for it. There's capabilities out there to bid shade, but you know, if you're wondering how to deal with kind of muddled auction dynamics, and they are really muddled at the moment, what I would say to you is focus on what you value that impression at and the rate at which it converts. And that's the best way that you can trade things at the moment. People often ask me as well, like, what do I think the motivation that sits behind this is? Like, why are people moving to like first price? Well, it goes without saying, like, obviously it's better for publishers, right? They make more money from the same impressions. I think that's a big driver behind it. But I think also you've got this dual incentive of a lot of ad tech companies who are being pressured on their take rates. So exchanges, people saying, well, you know, I don't think it's right that you're taking, 20%. And they're like, okay, we'll change our ways and we'll get it down into kind of mid-teens or, you know, early teens, and we'll kind of take it from there. And it feels to me anyway, this kind of shift is being like, some way kind of paying for that, right? It's paying for kind of middlemen to kind of retain profitability, and to me that just doesn't feel right. It feels like a wrong move for the ecosystem. Like, so I mean, clearly I'm very unhappy about it. Do I think that this will change the way things are going? No, I don't think it will, of course not.
Keep it on the level, keep it on the level. I'm climbing up the...
So I get asked about verification an awful lot, and is it being commoditized is a great question. When I think about verification, I kind of split it into 3 areas. So the contextual targeting capabilities, viewability capabilities, and fraud capabilities. I think the reason why I talk about verification a lot is because it's so important to get it right on all 3 of those things, right? You have advertisers who spend years, if not decades, in terms of building up brand equity. If we put ads in the wrong spot, we can really erode that kind of value. So verification is super important. I guess when people talk about contextual targeting capabilities, they're probably thinking of the kind of Peer 39s of the world, maybe the grape shots of the world. Do I think that tech's becoming commoditized? I think out of the 3 areas of verification that I talked about, maybe this is the one that's becoming most commoditized. I think the contextual capabilities of buying platforms are getting very, very good now. Certainly if you look at the market leaders, their technology is as good as third parties that you would pay for. So yeah, I think out of the 3 areas, that's one that's most commoditized. I think viewability is really interesting. I think, again, most leading platforms offer viewability measurement in platform for free. Most of those platforms, the viewability measurement that's offered in platform for free is also MRC accredited, which is obviously fantastic. I don't think it's fully commoditized yet, simply because custom models to a degree are still lacking. So, you know, if someone wants to measure viewability differently to the IAB standard, that's not something that's freely available. And also I understand why some advertisers would want to opt out of the, you know, platforms who've chosen viewability vendor right. They might think that it's marking their own homework. I think certainly if you looked at maybe like ActiveView and AdX, there may be a point there. Personally, I don't think it's a huge issue, but I know some people certainly do. What about fraud? Fraud measurement, fraud blocking, fraud reporting and refunds. This was a hot topic last year, and I think this is one area actually where things increasingly are becoming commoditized. You know, you've obviously got third parties like Double Verify, and IAS in particular, like MRC accredited for SIVT detection, put lots and lots of money into that, both in terms of building the tech and the MRC like process itself. And you've had platforms just say, well, actually, you know, if we believe that you've delivered, you know, impressions that are invalid, like, we'll give you a refund for that. And I think that's incredibly commoditizing for those third parties. Like, it's obviously one thing knowing about, you know, that you've inadvertently bought fraud, but, you know, if you have the option where you can have it flagged that you've inadvertently bought fraud and then have an automatic refund, I think that's the, you know, that's the ideal for the advertiser. If we accept that, you know, we're never going to scrub it out of the ecosystem completely, having refunds where it is spotted is ultimately like, that's the ideal solution in a non-ideal world, shall we say. So I think certainly the moves by people like DoubleClick to offer automatic refunds for, you know, invalid traffic, definitely the way forward. And yeah, I think it's probably fair to say incredibly commoditizing for third parties who offer a fraud measurement service. Okay guys, that's it from me for now. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe on YouTube, give it a share on LinkedIn, give it a share on Twitter. I'd really appreciate that. Also, let me know what you think in the comments. 3 really interesting topics, definitely worth debate. So yeah, let me know what you think. In terms of up and coming videos, I'm talking to Rachel Arch tomorrow. Rachel's the head of Programmatic at Teeds, has a really, really interesting view of the world. She's worked on the buy and the sell side, so that should be a great interview. In terms of timings for that, I'll try and get it live either Thursday or Friday this week, work depending. So keep your eyes peeled for that one, it'll be good. Yeah, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.
I can do this all day, I can do this all night. I can do this all day, I can do this all night.